What's going on, my eaters? It's your boy, Chef Drew, AKA Chef, AKA Big Drew, AKA we got guests coming today, and I'm so excited, y'all. My homegirl, my little sister, Tessa Silva's gonna stop in and chat with us a little bit and see what we got going on. Today, we're also gonna be making some mac and cheese. I don't know about y'all, but the holiday season is coming. I spoke to Tessa, and we just felt it was appropriate that we need to show the folks how to make some mac and cheese. Also, I asked Tessa the question like, hey, yo, if it was your last meal on earth or you could have anything to eat right now, what would it be? And she said unequivocally, mac and cheese, Drew. So we're gonna make some mac and cheese today. I'm gonna introduce you to my friend. That's what we're gonna do. But before we get into that, please, make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things so we can keep bringing y'all this content, and we're gonna get into it. All right, y'all, so we're gonna make some mac and cheese today. I'm super excited. Listen, everyone makes mac and cheese. I live in the deep South, y'all. People make a lot of mac and cheese here. It's at every function, every meal. It comes in crock pots, it comes in pots, it comes in pans, it comes in aluminum. Mac and cheese of all kinds. But when Tessa asked me to make my mac and cheese, I felt kind of honored. It's one of my dishes that I have taken a long time to do what I think and get it right. It's a summary of a lot of different teachers, a lot of different macaroni and cheese recipes. I've taken this piece from this one, this piece from this one, thrown a little bit of my own in there, and that's what you get. So I already boiled my pasta, y'all. That's what I got in this bowl right here. I use penne pasta, but really when it comes to macaroni and cheese, y'all, I always tell people, get creative. Use whatever pasta you like. I tend to like my macaroni and cheese with penne, or ziti noodles. So that's what I do, but people use elbows, people use, I'm probably gonna butcher this, but calatrava or, you know, the corkscrew pastas. I just like to use penne and ziti, so that's what we're using today. I cooked the pasta al dente. Al dente. You want to make sure you do not overcook your pasta. To the bite, you want it to be a little bit, al dente means to the bite. You want your pasta to be, when you're done cooking it, especially if you're re-cooking it or heating it up like you do with mac and cheese, you want your pasta to have a little bit of a bite, not be too cooked. Some would even call it maybe a little bit undercooked, so that when you reheat it, it can finish cooking while still maintaining the integrity of the pasta, not getting all mushy. Y'all have all had the macaroni and cheese where the noodles look like soup. We ain't doing none of that over here. I'm big for a reason, and part of the reason I'm a big boy is because my mac and cheese noodles be al dente. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But we got the daggone pasta noodles here. They are al dente. I took a little bit of oil, use the oil of your liking. When they were done cooking for the first go round, and I drizzled the oil over it to just make sure as the noodles are sitting here waiting for the sauce and the rest of the ingredients, they don't stick together. You don't want clumpy mac and cheese. Now we're gonna make the roux and the sauce, which are the heartbeat of a good macaroni and cheese. All right, y'all, so I said the first most important part of the mac and cheese is al dente pasta to begin with. Second most important part of the macaroni and cheese is the sauce. So I'm gonna show y'all how I make my sauce for my mac and cheese. I do things a little bit differently than I've seen people do before. Y'all, there's more than one way to skin a cat. As long as you end up at the same destination, that's what we're going for. This is how I do it. This is what works for me. This is what causes the least amount of headaches, because macaroni and cheese is one of those things, to me as a chef, it's one of those dishes that if you don't do it right, or if every piece doesn't line up right, it can turn from great to garbage, and we ain't putting out no garbage over here at the Eating Chambers channel. So, in this pot right here, I have a little bit of water. I pre-measured a gallon of water, and then in this pot, I put half of it. The other half you want to reserve, and just reserve that for just in case if you need to thin the sauce out a little bit later, you have that. The reason I have this water in here is because a lot of times when people make macaroni and cheese, they have their cream or their milk or their half and half. I use half and half. Sometimes if I'm feeling really big boy, I'll use heavy cream, but I use that half and half. But a lot of people, when they're making their mac and cheese, they will pour their cream or whatever, their dairy, into the pot, and then have to stand there and babysit the pot to make sure that it heats up hot enough to melt the cheese and all that stuff. I don't like doing that though. And the reason I don't do that is I learned when you work in the industry as long as I have, and you gotta make large quantities of mac and cheese from scratch, that dairy over open fire can be a headache. I don't know about y'all, but I've been in the rush having to make some mac and cheese before and burn the daggone milk. And then next thing you know, I gotta start all over and it's a problem. This step with the water alleviates burning the milk. So I have half a gallon of water in here. I bring it up to a boil, and then I take our half and half, and I'm gonna pour this into the pot. I think we're gonna use about half a quart. This is a quart. We're gonna use about half of it for this pasta, for this macaroni and cheese. You wanna make sure at the end of the day, if you have too much sauce, that's fine, but you don't wanna have not enough sauce, because don't nobody want no dry macaroni and cheese, and don't nobody want some watered down macaroni and cheese because it was too thick, and then you use just some plain water to thin it out. So in any case, half a gallon of water, roughly, and then about 3/4 of a quart, it ended up being of half and half. I have this over here on a medium-high heat. Mind you now, the water's already hot, so this cream is gonna heat up much quicker. I give it a little stir, help those molecules move around, help it get hot faster. You know, remember y'all, cooking is a science experiment, so everything we do in the kitchen, especially on the stove, is about reactions. And so when you stir the pot a little bit, that helps the heat disperse and heats the cream up more. All right, y'all, so now I'm gonna make the roux. The roux is a mixture of flour and butter, and this is what helps thicken your sauce. You don't want milk noodles, is what I call them. Watery mac and cheese. Who has had milk noodles before? Joe, you had milk noodles before? Joe's raising his hand. Yeah, we don't want none of that. We want rich, creamy, cheesy macaroni and cheese. That's what we're doing here. So in this pot, for 2 boxes of pasta, I put in 1.5 sticks of butter and melted it. Now here's the thing, if you like your stuff a little more buttery, put a little more butter in there. If you like it a little less buttery, well then you can adjust that too. But me, I like mine moderately rich. So here's about 1.5 sticks of butter, melted, and I'm gonna add some all-purpose flour to it. Now today I'm using some white lily flour. You use whatever all-purpose flour you have going on. I'm gonna use somewhere between 1/2 cup and 1 cup of this flour. I'm gonna pour it straight into the butter, probably a little bit at a time, incorporate it in. What I'm trying to create is something between like an Elmer's glue and an Elmer's glue paste. You want it thick to pasty. Again, if it's a little bit too thick, there's no such thing, don't worry about it. What you don't want is it to be too thin and not use enough flour, because then, again, you risk your macaroni and cheese being a little milk noodly, little not thick as you want it to be. Okay, y'all, so right now, our cream is heated up. Like I said, the hot water helped this thing heat up. I mean, it was ready in like 3 minutes. And then we got our roux done. Like I said, I like mine like a wet paste. And I also like to use a whisk. As you saw, I like to use a whisk as I incorporate the roux, because the whisk helps break up the little balls of flour. It helps the butter and the flour really, really incorporate. And you don't want lumpy flour in your mac and cheese. That ain't pleasurable for nobody. So I'm gonna put this in the cream mixture, stir it in, whisk it in really, really good to make sure all of this flour and butter dissolve and get incorporated into the sauce. Again, I'm gonna let that heat back up a little bit, at which point we'll add the cheese, and I'll adjust for the thickness of the sauce if I need to with a little bit of this water if it got a little bit too thick. right, guys, so we're about to start putting this mac and cheese together. A couple things. You saw me making the roux and then whisking the roux into the cream mixture. What I want you to take note is, what I did immediately after that, you have to do this quickly. I took the whisk and used that whisk to whisk it vigorously to incorporate the roux into the cream mixture. And I'm sure you noticed that as I did that, the sauce started to thicken up right in front of my eyes. Very, very, very important. When you're putting the roux into the hot liquid, you must whisk it rapidly and quickly, or that roux will start turning into little lumps. And again, you don't want lumps in your mac and cheese. Once that's fully incorporated, then I added the cheese while the mixture is still hot. It helps melt the cheese, and you will see when you add that cheese, the sauce gets much thicker, and becomes a beautiful orange, cheesy color. Y'all, I use a lot of cheese in my mac and cheese, and I do that because it's mac and cheese. It needs to be cheesy. So I put a lot of cheese in the sauce because that's the base. If your sauce is not good, your mac and cheese will not be good either. So we're gonna put this sauce and this noodles together. I'm gonna season it up, and then we're gonna start this macaroni and cheese party. All right, y'all, we're almost there. Tessa's on her way. We're gonna finish up this macaroni and cheese so we can get in the oven. So when she gets here, we can eat this stuff. I got the macaroni and cheese with the sauce to where I want it to be. I'm gonna add some more cheese. We're gonna add cheese 2 more times, y'all. So we're gonna add some more cheese right now, and I'm gonna season it up, and then we're gonna add some more cheese at the end, and a couple little other surprises, or another surprise. So let's do this. As you saw, I took half a pound of the cheddar cheese and made the sauce with it, and now I'm taking the other half a pound of cheddar cheese and mixing it into the noodles as well. I just think that these layers of cheese just make it fantabulous, make it great, make it cheesy. Putting in the cheese now, to me, helps for when the macaroni and cheese is done. You get these long, stringy strands of cheddar goodness, or whatever cheese that you like. I use cheddar because that's what I like. So we got the cheese pretty much incorporated. You want to do this gently so you don't tear up your noodles. But if you did what I said and cooked your noodles al dente from the beginning, you shouldn't have to worry about tearing them up too much. But even for me, sometimes, you know, time gets away from you a little bit. Your noodles get a little bit softer than you want. So you just want to make sure when you're incorporating everything, you're not too abusive. Fold the cheese in, fold the ingredients in. And so cheese is in, we got some salt. Use your salt preference. We have some white pepper. Now I use white pepper because, quite honestly, I want that peppery, that savoriness, that earthiness that the pepper brings, but I don't want little black specks in all my mac and cheese. So to avoid the black specks, but also give it some pepper flavor, I use white pepper. I have used black pepper in the past when it's just me for the family, and for the family, it tastes great. But when I'm working and I'm producing macaroni and cheese for people, I don't want the little black specks in my macaroni and cheese, so I use white pepper. A little bit of white pepper. Be careful with the white pepper because its flavor profile is a little bit different than black pepper, and too much of it can be a little off-putting to some people. And then for me, one of my secret ingredients is a touch of nutmeg. I feel like the nutmeg just brings a warmth and a homeliness and an earthiness to the macaroni and cheese that leaves people often being like, hey, what's that taste? What's that little something different in the mac and cheese, Drew? Well, I'm telling you, for the first time ever, is nutmeg, y'all. Listen, one thing about nutmeg is a little goes a long way. You don't want to be too proud. A little bit goes a long way. We have all that here. We're gonna mix it all up together. Y'all, I'm gonna give this a taste. We need to taste everything we eat. And I think I'm gonna put a little bit of water in here too, just because the bowl is telling me it needs it. After all that cheese is in there, the cheese that I put in there at the end, starting to melt a little bit. It's thickening up a lot, so I just want to break that down a little bit. Like I said, y'all, you don't want no dry macaroni and cheese, and you want to make sure that you equate for the evaporation in the oven. A little more water. And because I'm adding water, I'm gonna re-season this to taste as well. Okay, that's looking like what we want it to look like. Y'all, salt is a flavor enhancer. So you just wanna make sure you don't use too much salt, because once you put too much in, you can't get it out. But you do wanna salt your food. We made a whole episode of it, y'all. Season your food. But also keep in mind your ingredients too. Like the butter can be a little bit salty if you use salted butter, and the cheese can be salty too. So you want to think about all of that while you're putting this together. It's better to have too little salt though than too much. You can always put salt in at the end. A little more salt, a little bit more nutmeg. I'm not gonna put any more white pepper in there. And this is what it looks like, y'all. Y'all, what's going on? My homegirl, my friend, my sister, Tessa's here. She wanted the mac and cheese, y'all. This is what she said.
Special request.
She said if she could have one more meal on earth, she would want mac and cheese. She is the owner, founder, Bloom Salon and Spa in Noonan, Georgia. And y'all, I'm just so excited to be talking to her. We're gonna finish up this mac and cheese. Tessa's gonna help me out. She's gonna start grating up this Gouda cheese. I'm gonna start panning it up in these pans. And we're gonna layer up this mac and cheese with some chicken. We're gonna call it our stacked mac and cheese. So that's what we're gonna do. We just talked about you being an entrepreneur. You have your own salon now.
Yes.
But let's talk a little bit about your background. So Tessa, tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Mom and dad, single parent home. What did your upbringing look like?
I grew up here in Georgia pretty much. I was born in Arizona. My dad was in the military. And then he got out of the military, and my parents moved us over to Georgia.
Okay.
But that's where my dad grew up. So,
okay.
I grew up with both parents in the home.
Yep.
Although my dad did work out of town a lot when I was young.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, at some point he just moved back to Georgia.
Okay.
So I grew up with both parents, but I do have, my family is Hispanic, so we're Mexican and Colombian. So although I don't speak Spanish, we have a very Hispanic family dynamic. Yeah.
She's the real deal.
I get a lot. I take a lot of crap for that.
It's okay.
But
I'm Jamaican, Tessa, and people always give me trash because they say, you don't sound Jamaican. Well, come eat this food. How about that?
yeah, there you go. So I feel like there's a natural hustle in me because I am Hispanic. I don't know.
Okay.
But also, one pretty awesome thing that I feel like my dad instilled in us is that we could do or be whatever we wanted to be,
okay,
or put our mind to. So that definitely allowed me to kind of be a bit of a dreamer. I was naturally a dreamer, but you know, sometimes dreamers get stuck in dreamland.
Yeah.
So I feel like I had enough of the practical side of things growing up.
Okay.
And as well as being allowed to like dream up a future that I would want for myself.
Tessa's parents, y'all, are the type of parents who they ride or die for their babies. It don't matter what happens.
That's true.
They hold it up and hold it down and deal with the, you know, not saying anyone's perfect,
right,
but they will hold their babies down and then deal with the other part later. Speaking of their babies, so are you an only child? You have siblings?
I have two siblings. They're both older. I have a 31-year-old brother and a 29-year-old sister.
So you're the baby?
I'm the baby, technically, yeah.
I'm the baby too, it's okay. You're younger than me.
I feel like we get a bad rep, but it's okay.
Oh, and Joe's the baby too.
I'm the baby too.
We all babies. What kind of baby episode can we do? I guess we're doing it right now.
A baby episode.
I'm just saying, you know, it's a different dynamic when you got multiple siblings.
Yeah.
And you the run of the litter or the baby of the litter. In my family, and it may be like this in a Hispanic family, right, Joe, I don't know if it was like this in your family, but I have 5 brothers and sisters. And it was like, and I have both parents. It was like growing up in a house with 7 parents, y'all.
That's
wild. It was annoying, but you know, it is what it is. But in any case, all right, y'all, so Tessa is grating up that cheese, smoked Gouda cheese, if you wanted to know. I have some in this wonderful little Ziploc bag of goodness here. I have some Pink's Barbecue smoked chicken. And so what I'm gonna do here in this little party we got going on, I got some of the mac and cheese, then I got some of this barbecue chicken. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna take some of this Gouda cheese and we're gonna layer it. Tessa, can you do those?
Yeah.
We're gonna layer in some Gouda cheese. So we got the macaroni and cheese, we have the chicken, we have the Gouda cheese. Y'all, what is this thing missing? It's missing something. You know what it is? It's Pink's Pure Goodness sauce. This is our house barbecue sauce, Tessa. I made this myself. This is my recipe.
Okay.
We're gonna take some of this sauce and just drizzle it in there. And then y'all, what we're gonna do is do it again. Layer these things. We're having stacked mac and cheese today. All right, y'all, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna finish doing this, top these off with the cheese, get these in the oven. While we're doing that, Tessa, let me ask you another question. So as you were growing up, did your parents do anything entrepreneurial growing up, or were you exposed to entrepreneurship in any ways that were meaningful and lasting to you?
Okay, so they were not really entrepreneurs, no. My dad is very, I think in his world, if he would have taken a different route, he might have wanted to do that.
Your dad's kind of a hustler. He's always thinking and planning and plotting something.
Definitely.
He be making moves, y'all.
Yeah, no, for sure. They weren't necessarily entrepreneurs, no.
Okay.
I think though it's definitely in my dad more than probably my mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But my mom's very creative too, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We got a little bit of that.
So as you think about it then, I would say, where do you think this entrepreneurial spark, where do you think that seed came from? Your sister's an entrepreneur.
She is.
And has been for a while.
My sister probably had some to do with it, but you know, I didn't start out doing hair thinking that I would be where I am today. So I really feel like I was just following what I felt like I was called to do.
Supposed to be doing?
Supposed to be doing.
What we're gonna do here, y'all, is get these in the oven, and me and Tessa gonna eat. Tessa, I'm gonna send you home with some of these.
All right. I'm not mad about that.
So the stacked mac and cheese is going on here. The cheese on top got a little crusty. The sugar in the sauce got a little crusty. Some crust on top of the mac and cheese is always good, but the test, Tessa, I was telling them there's two tests.
Two tests.
With mac and cheese.
Okay.
The first test are the noodles overcooked. I can tell y'all right now, I'm looking at the noodles. These noodles ain't overcooked. Then the next test is it being moist without being soupy. And then the third test, honorable mention, is it need to taste good, y'all. Like, if your mac and cheese tastes...
Mention? No, that's like the main
It need to taste good. If your mac and cheese tastes like the milk noodles, you messed up somewhere. I can already tell you by the way this is hitting, it don't taste like no milk noodles.
Okay, question.
Go ahead.
How do you get, like, you know how when you make, or it's more with the shells. The sauce doesn't get like inside the shell, so it tastes like noodle. What's your trick on getting like inside the noodle? Your
sauce, I talked about this in the episode, your sauce has to be thick, but not too thick.
Okay.
So as you're tossing those noodles, it can pour into those crevices. Okay. You feel me?
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't know is those pastas that have a lot of grooves or shells, they are made to hold the sauce. So if your sauce is too thick,
it's not gonna go.
Your pasta ain't gonna pasta right. We want your pasta to pasta right. Okay, so Tessa, can I serve you some of this?
Absolutely.
And you need to be honest, okay?
Okay.
Oh,
we're gonna have to let that cool down a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to let it cool down. This is what I'm gonna do though. I'm gonna spread it out.
There we go.
I hope I did not just...
Hopefully not. It's still steaming.
Blow on it, Tessa. Come on, girl. Blow on it. Ain't your mama tell you blow on it, baby?
Abe wants, even if it's not hot, if it's just food, he's like...
Blow on it, right? Ruby too. Those are our babies, y'all. Oh, we ain't talked about Abe. Tessa is an entrepreneur, a stylist,
That's really good.
And a mama. And she just... Say it again, Tessa.
Or it's really good. If you didn't catch that.
Y'all.
That is so good.
It's rich. The chicken is not overcooked. The sweetness, the savory, It's good. Y'all, I am so super stoked that my sister is here talking to me. My homie is here talking to me. I feel like a proud big brother. Like literally, I've watched you grow up in a lot of ways. And so this is like a full circle moment to where, you know, we've traveled together, we've done things together, and now you're here all grown up, business owner, mama, friend, all of that stuff. Y'all, I hope you are excited about what you're seeing. I hope you can go and make some amazing mac and cheese. You know, I heard from a bunch of people now, this mac and cheese is banging.
It's hitting. You make sure you get some barbecue sauce from this guy, because that really, the flavor hits a little different.
It hits different, don't it? I'm just saying. Y'all, if you want to know more about Tessa, if you want to hear more about her journey, make sure y'all do not miss next week's episode. We're going to talk some more. We're going to get more into the nitty gritty of being an entrepreneur, what that looks like, what it feels like, things that arise. Y'all know every time we come to you, our goal is to educate you, excite you, and empower you into the future that you want for yourself and for your business. Until next time, y'all, thank you so much for being here with us. Please, again, make sure like, subscribe, do all the things so we can keep bringing you this content. Until then, we are gone. Take care, y'all.